it's your girl Morgan, and today I will be coming to you from the Grown Women's Travel Group, telling you where we are headed for July 2020. Our vacation is Jamaica. So yeah, I have all information that is needed. I will be sharing that through DMs only. On the Facebook page, there will be an event with minimal information. But for the most part, this group is for women 21 to 30. If you have anyone that is within those requirements and may be interested, you are able to bring them along. I'm ready to meet you all. So, I'm ready to turn up. If you're interested, I do have information on packages, information on flights and things in that nature. Specifically, the package that I have chosen is as low as $80 a month, and I believe that's up to 2 months or a month before the actual vacation. So if you are interested in that package, I can disclose that information to you as well. I am keeping the information to a minimal, which I put out to the public, obviously, for safety reasons. So again, this information is for those that are within the requirements of a woman or are between the ages of 21 and 30. And throughout this group, I will be sharing events that people, either put up on the Facebook page or put up through DMs stating that, oh, anyone is invited. And with that, if they don't have an age requirement or a gender requirement, then of course you're able to come. So if I have added you and you're not a woman or you're not between the ages of 21 and 30, please do not unfollow. Please, I ask that you stay with me. I want to be your friend. Like, let's be friends. So yeah, I'm looking to create group chats if you need a roommate, if you need help with finding how to do, the all-inclusive thing or whatever the case may be. I am ready to get lit. So if you're ready to get lit with us, I need you to come along. I need you to let me know. I need you to DM me. What's up? Where you at? Where you coming from? Okay, I'm ready to see all you beautiful ladies. And with that being said, you will see more announcements throughout this period of time, right up until the vacation. This group will be traveling domestic and internationally. So for our first vacation, we are headed internationally, but in 2021 we are going to be doing a domestic meetup or vacation, whatever you'd like to call it. So again, if you're interested, please join us. You don't have to join just to go on the vacation, but it is nice to see that there are members coming in. I appreciate you all. They all consist the third week of July, the third weekend of July. So with that being said, I look forward to seeing you in my DMs. See you soon. Hey guys, it's your girl Morgan, and today I'm coming to you with a how to save video. So anyway, I'm coming to you guys with another video on how to save. My first video was like a chit chat video. This time I have it written down so I can explain to you guys. Sorry. But yeah, this time I have it written down so I can explain to you guys how exactly I saved and where it started and how I came up with this little method. Well, I really don't even know how I came up with it. The point of it all is it helps. So first I'm gonna tell you how it all started with me getting a job, to my job from when I was 15 to my job now. I first started working when I was 15 years old. I was working in a library, and it was a summer program job, so I didn't get paid until the end of the summer. So I started in like June, and I didn't get paid until August. Ended in like the beginning of September before school started again, and I just got checks back to back. So I opened up my first bank account. Later on, while in high school, I got another job, and that was when I was 16. and I was working at an insurance agency, and I was basically doing like customer service or whatever the case may be. So I was making good money off of that. And when I got my bank account, I saved like the money that I got when I was working at the library. I saved into my Wells Fargo account, and that's when I got my first phone bill. I worked there till I was about 19, and in between then, I worked at the airport and I worked at Amazon. So when I got my first real job, I was working at least one other. Well, so I worked at the insurance agency. After I graduated high school, I went on to college, but I still had room for another job. So I ended up getting me another job. And then I accumulated some credit cards. I got stuck with a credit card I got tricked into getting a credit card with Forever 21. I got a credit card with my bank. Okay. And I got a credit card with, I just went credit card crazy. Then I got a credit card with I want to say Capital One. Anywho, so now at the age of like, we're gonna say from 16 to 19 ish, I got 3 credit cards and a phone bill, and that's the only thing that I was taking care of and going to school. So with that, I had a vehicle that you have to put gas in, you gotta get tune-ups and yada yada yada. I had a phone bill, I had 3 credit cards, and then whatever it was that I had to pay for with my for college or whatever the case may be. So with all of that, I still was able to afford, if I had a entertainment life, which I really didn't. But yeah, I was able to afford that. And then I just decided that I wanted to get me a second job. So now we gotta worry about car, phone, 3 credit cards, food, whatever I needed for college. And with all of that, I was still able to save. The way I was able to save was I got paid every week at the agency. So every other check went to my savings account that was actually, for whatever else I needed, like food and stuff like that. So my savings account at that time was for things that I would need over time, whereas I kept my money in my check-ins account for like bills that came out automatically and stuff like that. So fast forward, in college, got my second job, and then instead of using my every other check for bills, I use one check from one job for bills and then another check for my savings account and whatever else I needed. So that was a big help. And I had done that for a while. So I was working 2 jobs for about I want to say 2 years. All in all my jobs, I was able to still provide for myself. So in 2018 is when I got my first apartment. So what I was saving, like oh, let me tell you how I saved that. So I started saving from my apartment. I knew I wanted to move out by April. So in January is when I started saving from my apartment, whereas I was more lenient with how I used my money beforehand. So in the month of January is when I started, and basically I was telling myself that, okay, you need to put this much amount of money away, every 2 weeks or every week or whatever the case may be. And I would be very strict with myself. It's all about self-discipline when it comes to saving as well. You need to know what your priorities are. You need to learn your responsibilities, and you need to self-discipline, because if you don't, how can you save? Then so I did get an apartment, and for like a month or so I was taking care of the apartment and stuff like that. So I wasn't as lenient with my money. I, saved, and I didn't use a lot of money for, like, let's say hair or clothes or food, like just out of pocket stuff that I felt like were wants but not really needs. So that's another thing, you want to separate that. My life went haywire. Like, I don't know. I guess I'll probably do a story time on it. I probably won't. I will do a story time on it. I just don't know when. But basically, I had a mental breakdown and I had to just up and leave. So I got my apartment in Georgia, but um, I wasn't able to move to Georgia because my job at Amazon, I wasn't able to transfer right away. So I was still in Jersey while, taking care of that apartment. And I had the mental breakdown or whatever, and I was just like, I need to up and leave. So when I did leave, I ended up staying with my mom in Georgia, and basically left my job, and I lived off my savings and my credit cards, and that was just the worst decision I ever made, and that is what taught me how to like prioritize. Although I had a savings account, and although I was fortunate enough to live off my savings account, I got comfortable. Not only did I get comfortable with my savings account, I got comfortable with the credit cards, because it's a trick to these credit cards, okay? So with that being said, I'm just gonna say credit cards, the pros and cons. Now, I can only come up with two things that are pros about credit cards, which were, it's quick money. Like, it's once you get approved for a credit card, it's like, ooh, I got money. Really, you don't. It's not your money. Don't go crazy. And two is, it helps you build your credit. If you stay on top of things, if you are responsible, yeah, of course your credit will build. And this is where the con comes in of, even though it builds your credit, if you don't stay on top of things, um, they will increase your limit on what you can use. Don't fall for it. Do not fall for it. When I say my credit card started off at, like, it was considered a school, college card or whatever the case may be. When I started off, it was like a $400 limit or something like that. It ended out to being like 2,000 something dollar limit, right? And me not really being sat down and explained, like, my mom did tell me, don't go crazy with your credit cards. Don't use it for everything. Don't use it for clothes. Don't use it for food, because when it comes to interest, it technically, like, sometimes it doubles it. So if you don't pay the full amount off, like, let's say you pay for Burger King $10, but you don't pay the $10 back on time, now you're paying $25 for a burger. You know what I'm saying? So um, the cons on it is the interest rate. If you don't pay it on time, it can increase by however the percentage is, however much the percentage is. It can increase by that amount. So that's something that you can't avoid. If you can't pay it, that's it. You just can't pay it, and you're gonna be paying more than you should have been paying. It gets addicting. When I say that, I just mean, like, let's say you want something real bad, but you don't have the money for it. You're gonna swipe your credit card. You're not gonna worry about, oh, don't go over the limit of 20% of the card or stuff like that. You're not gonna worry about that, because if you want something and you're not disciplining yourself and saying no, then you're going to spend it. So that's something that can be hard or troubling at first. So I would say, if you are going to get a credit card, I would get a credit card when you're, like, at a certain maturity level, because I feel like that has a lot to do with self-discipline. So another con is, it ruins your credit if you don't be responsible. Obviously, your credit can ultimately decrease. Now, being that I had 3 credit cards, of course, after running them up, literally, my credit went down because I was so negligent and over it. Like, I do not like credit cards. Like, it's not my money. But yeah, so I would say that credit cards are only good if you are responsible. I would not suggest you to get a credit card unless you know that your self discipline is on point, because good credit is important. Whether you're 15 or you're 35, your credit should be straight. Like, it's the easiest way to live life. Like, credit is better than having a lump sum of money. Now, like, where people say like the world revolves around money, yeah, it revolves around money, but at the same time, if you don't have good credit, when it comes to you trying to build your life up, whether it's get a car, get an apartment, you're gonna have trouble. Like, and that's just the simple facts about it. You're gonna have trouble, and if you ain't trying to have that type of trouble, then I would say stay away from credit cards, cause there's other ways you could build your credit. That's all I gotta say on that one. We're gonna go into now like the nitty gritty of how I save from the time that I was 18 and so forth. I've always had two incomes. I've had either a second job or hustle in some other type of way. I learned how to, like, put one check aside, whether it's one check from one job or putting one check aside if you get paid weekly. If you get paid bi-weekly, then put every other check aside. I know it's hard, but the reality of it is, if you want money in your pocket next week and you know you don't get paid till the following week, you need to save. Like, you could save with change. You could put change aside, get you a little tub, and all your change, put that aside. Another way is, if you have bills, like let's say you pay with a big bill and they give you a $5 bill back, put that away instead of, like, saving it to pay for the next thing. Another way is, what else can you do? Put $25 from each check that you get. It'll add up. Put $25 aside, because to me, a savings account then was for food and for necessities and all that good stuff. But now a savings account for me is, that's my emergency money. Like, if I run into something and I need to pay for it quick, like a fix on my car or something, that's what that's for. Or if I'm trying to save up for something like a house or an apartment or a car or something like that, that is what that savings account is for. So depending on the age, depending on what you got going on, you save accordingly. So that's how I save then. How I save now is basically the same thing, but a little bit more added to it after going through my little struggle in life. Um, I still have two incomes. When I was struggling, I did start like a little sunglasses business, and that helped a lot. I put money into it, but I got money back, like more than what I put into it. So it did help when I needed food to eat and stuff like that. Because when I say a girl was struggling, a girl was freaking struggling. It was days I did not eat, and I'm telling you that sincerely. Whew, I get a little emotional. Okay, so yeah, now I separate my wants and my needs. I also make a list of things. I make a list of things I know are gonna come out monthly, and then I make a list of how much of an income I'm gonna get that month as well, and then I put it side by side. I add up both, post-it notes, because that's what I do at work in my spare time. Make post-it notes. So I put my post-it notes side by side, add them up, and I say, okay, I'm gonna have this much money left over by the end of the day, by the end of the month. For the trick of making a list of your bills and making a list of your income, make sure that you, after adding everything up and subtracting, doing your numbers, you would coincide your dates that you get paid and your dates that your bills come out, and then that will help you manage when you'll have a certain amount of money and when you won't, and that can help you. So with that being said, I will know if I'm gonna have money to play with, if I'm gonna have money that I just need to set aside, or if I'm gonna have just enough amount of money to where I need to pay my bills. Now in that case, you can again, get another job or start a side hustle, ride share. If you have a vehicle, an up and running vehicle, I would suggest ride share because it is as simple as can be. And I do it faithfully. When you don't have money for this or don't have money for that, or you just want to build your savings, ride share is the way to go. It's the easiest thing. You make your own schedule. Like, it's simple. Or just get a part-time job, and it doesn't have to be like another 9 to 5 or a 5-day week job. Like, find you a little job that's gonna accept you only coming in on weekends. Most jobs do prefer that you work on the weekends anyway, because everybody else want to party. You know what I'm saying? So things like that, you just need to prioritize, and you need to figure out what's important for you. What is it that you're trying to, accomplish? What goals are you trying to meet? Because with that being said, it's a lot easier to, go about your business when it comes to saving. If I want to touch more on the making a list and bills, making a list of your bills and making a list of your income, I would say that you can even keep like a little journal, like something like this. You could keep a journal, and then in your journal you can just write down the month and write down your bills on one side, your income on another side, and just make sure you include in your income your miscellaneous bills, because that counts too, like gas, food, entertainment. If you go out, you feel like you go out an excessive amount of time, then that would be considered in your bills. And then all the other stuff that comes with it. If you got rent, car, no, car insurance, and all that good stuff. So yeah, that's basically how I make my list and how I know how much I will end up saving at the end of the month. And I promise you, that is the best, 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 best recommendation I have for you as far as saving, because it totally works for me. To wrap this up, I'm just going to basically say the key points on what I feel is important out of this whole video. If I didn't mention it, I'm mentioning it now. Don't take on more bills than you can afford. So with that being said, I would just say, if you know you only make $900 every 2 weeks, then don't get yourself a $900 apartment. Like, people go through that whole, oh, I've heard that people can like fake their what is it called, like their pay stubs and stuff like that to get into an apartment they know they cannot afford. Don't do that. You can't afford it, don't do it. Why? Because you're putting yourself on, now you live in paycheck to paycheck. Who wants to do that? I don't. So yeah, I just wouldn't suggest that. If you can't afford something, don't add it into your monthly payments. So another thing is prioritize and see what bills are necessary and what bills aren't. Like, I personally don't believe that cable is necessary. If you want cable, go on your phone, get Netflix, and or YouTube it, Google it, go on Instagram. I'm sure it's somewhere. Like, I just feel like cable is not necessary, but if you can afford it, go ahead, sis. Do what you do. You know what I'm saying? Um, Another thing, my dad advised me when I first was getting my first apartment with my roommate, that get an apartment in which you can afford by yourself. Because if you do have a roommate, let's just say rent is $800, you paying for, he paying for, right? But a way to save is make it as if you're paying on that apartment by yourself. You put your four in, but then you put 400 aside, because God forbid anything may happen with you and your roommate and you have to take care of that apartment by yourself. You now not only have the savings, but you already have it embedded in your whole, you know, monthly income and outcome on how it's going to affect you on a daily basis. So I would suggest that if you have room to save that amount of money, then do so. Or with the same advice that he gave, if you don't have $400 to put away, put $200 away from that. You know what I'm saying? So again, that goes back on getting um accumulating bills that you can afford. Don't take on more than you can afford, because living check to check is not fun. If you have an option to receive financial assistance, whether that is from the government or from family members, I would say use it. I wouldn't say use it up, overstay your welcome, but I would say use it, because that allows you to have room to save so that you can get on your feet, so that you can get the ball rolling. You know what I'm saying? Don't overdo it or whatever. But I would definitely suggest it. I'm staying with my mom right now. I'm paying half of what I would pay if I were to live on my own. So I'm going to stay here until I feel comfortable enough. And well, I actually set a date on when I would like to move out. So with that being said, I've embedded that in my head on how much I have to save monthly so that I can meet my goal, so I can be out of here. You know what I'm saying? But stay as long as you can. Don't overstay your welcome, but you have to understand that when using this financial assistance, that you are sticking to your goals, sticking to the bigger picture. You don't want to rely on government assistance forever. Like you have to make a plan for yourself on how you're going to get off of whatever type of help that you're getting. So don't get comfortable, and prioritize, prioritize, prioritize. That's all I can suggest, is prioritize your bills, because that's the easiest way to you know that's the easiest way to keep track of what you're spending on a daily, and what your wants are and what your needs are. You have to figure that out for yourself. I'm here for you. I'm here for you. Put it down. If you are really willing to save, you will do it. If I did good, if you sat here and you listened to this, please make sure you subscribe. I deserve that much. Please make sure you subscribe, like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.